Hello YouTube, Adam here again with a PC rebuild. I'm going to be moving some of my hand-me-down parts onto new machines. This machine here is my secondary PC. I use it as kind of a test case machine. It does my in-between transfers between my vintage machines and my current machines, that sort of thing. And as such, it also does some video rendering on the side, which takes a long time with the system that's in here now. Currently, this machine has an i7 875K, and it also has this. I really like this case. It is an Antec P183, I believe is the model number. They don't make it anymore, but I've had it for a while, and it's very robust. It's got kind of like a plastic rubberized finish on it, which I like. It's got drive bays here in the front, and it has this current incarnation of it. Has a floppy disk and a zip drive and a USB reader and a Blu-ray drive that I rip Blu-rays with sometimes. So what's going to end up happening here is I need to use an external floppy drive in the future with this machine, because this is the last board I have that still has an actual floppy header on it. I'm going to be swapping out. I'll show you the board when it comes out, but I'm going to be swapping out for this ASRock board that was in my main machine previously. It's a Z77 Extreme 3. That's an i7 3770K, 16 gigabytes of memory. But as you see, it has no dedicated PCI. It has PCI slots, but it has no dedicated IDE or floppy channel. So I'm going to try putting in an old PCI IDE controller to get the zip drive working, and we'll just have to use USB for the flash. I mean for the floppy, which is going to be kind of inconvenient, but it will work, I assume. I'm also going to be putting in a hand-me-down. This is my previous video card. I got a 1070 now. This is a 970 the GTX 970. And I guess the next thing to do is just strip the parts out, and we'll get stuff assembled. And this is the PCI card I'm hoping to use. It's just a generic VIA card, and I'm hoping that it's so generic that the drivers will still work in Windows 10. And one of the neat things about this case, just taking a look at the inside, this is actually a case that it comes with a dual chamber. They made large power supplies. I forget what it was called. It's not ATX, it's like, I don't know, it's some sort of extended power supply they made for these cases specifically, and I think only for these cases. So this is the machine as it sits right now. It has a impossible to see MSI motherboard in there. Let's see if we can find a model number. I know it's in there somewhere. Get the ribbon cable out of the way there. You can like just make out the model number P55GD55. I got this machine, I think back when Star Trek Online first came out, or maybe even a little bit before that. So it was like 2011, 2010. It was whenever the first generation Core series processors came out. Not the Core 2s, the Core i7s, i5s, that sort of stuff. It's got a Noctua cooler, and that's about it. I'm going to be putting in this Corsair 500 watt power supply right here, just because the fan is starting to get loud on this thermal take, and I'm hoping this will quiet down the machine. Another thing this machine has that I forgot to talk about is this AverMedia, I think they called this a game broadcaster. It's a capture card, but unlike most, it actually has VGA, and I'm planning on using this to record some old school game stuff for some of my vintage machines in the future, so that's going to be going in here as well. Alright, so here's the old board freed of its prison here. Some extra nasty thermal compound on that processor there. But it's a little dusty, no worse for wear. It's just going to go into storage. I don't think I'm going to sell it. I'll probably hold on to it. Had it for a long time. Might come in handy again in the future. Alright, so the new board is nice and comfy and at home, and I'm going to throw the Noctua cooler on there. Got a little dollop of Arctic what is this, MX4 thermal compound. I don't know if that's Arctic silver or not. I really don't care either. I'm not one of those people who gets all religious about thermal interface compound. It's really nothing magical about it. I don't really understand a lot of the hype about it. It's really just there to fill in the little microscopic scratches and divots and what have you that are in both the aluminum heat sink or the copper plate, whatever you have, and the heat spreader on the top of the processor. It can't make this big piece of aluminum cool any better. The only thing it can do is help transfer the heat slightly better. Computers will overheat without it, but I've never really noticed any difference between brands. Alright, so the machine is booting up. I'm going to be lazy and not even reinstall Windows. Windows usually manages to adapt with Windows 10 to new hardware. The machine is all up and running and nice and happy. We'll have to see how the peripherals all end up doing, including that zip drive. But for now, just let Windows do its thing. Alright, so it's recognizing the zip disk as being there, but I have a couple of unknown things here as well. So I'm going to throw a drive in there. Here's our system status: 16 gigabytes, Core i7 377K. And what I'm going to do here is just get a random transfer zip disk that I use to get software to old machines. It's just a regular old iOmega zip drive disk. It's trying to read it. Now I don't know if the controller is going to be a problem or not. This has worked under Windows before, and it looks like it's fine. Yeah, I put this song on here as a test. See if we can copy it. And it's working just fine. Cool. So that is all functional. I am going to create a storage space. I put in two 500 gigabyte drives, so I'm going to work on getting the storage space stuff set up for that. This is that drive, so let's go ahead and just delete the volume. There's nothing on either of these. So I'm going to get the machine put back in its usual place. I'll probably do a little bit of, well, I'm sure there's Windows updates that are available, because this is, as it says down there, the technical preview, so there's always updates coming out and stuff like that. But I'm going to do a little bit of tinkering with this and eject that zip disk because it's whining. But yeah, I'm pretty happy with this. See how it works with some video rendering. I'll probably render this video on this machine. So I'll be back when we're in our usual spot for this machine. Alright, so everything on the machine seems to be working perfectly fine. We've got sound, we have internet working. What was I gonna do? I am having a weird problem with Insider Preview stuff. Did it fix? Yeah, I just left it on for a while and it says your Microsoft account requires attention to get Insider Preview builds, and then I click on that and it just goes to information about my account. It doesn't actually explain what it means by that, but other than that, everything's working. I'm gonna figure out what's going on with the preview build thing. And one last little addendum I wanted to add to this video is getting this iOmega USB floppy drive working. Now I picked this up for $1 at the local thrift store, so I'm hoping this will still work and it will actually function under Windows 10 and all of that sort of stuff. So I'm gonna put the camera down, plug this thing in, and we'll just see what happens. Alright, so I dug this out. I have, because the cord is so short, the USB cable is so short on this. It's really hard to do one-handed. I wanted to use this little Amazon basic hub thing that I have to get a little more extension out of it. Alright, so the device is plugged in. It's recognized as an X1DE USB here, but it also is recognized as not working. So what we need to do here is manually install the driver, and I'm going to browse, let me pick, and this is not showing by manufacturer, is it? That's slightly annoying. We're looking for the NEC driver. NEC should work. Alright, so it says it's retrieving a full list of devices. Here we go. So what we want to find here is NEC. I assume this means that NEC actually made this drive, which wouldn't be surprising. NEC certainly made a lot of drives. Now there's a million here, but we want to go with NEC USB floppy. And yeah, fine, that's cool. And I believe, yeah, it shows it there. Alright, so I restarted the computer just to make sure that everything was good to go, and we now have a floppy drive A icon, which I'm going to assume is our floppy drive. I am inserting just a generic Windows 98 startup floppy here to see how that works. We had a green light come on there for a moment, and it's definitely making an attempt to read the disk. And there we go. We have stuff being read off of a floppy drive. So all seems to be well. Thing is kind of noisy. I miss my internal drive, but this is workable. So when I need to make an image or something like that for a vintage machine, it's easy to do now. And I still have my zip drive working, so this should be able to handle everything I need. Video capture from vintage machines, all that kind of stuff. And I'm pretty happy with the way that this all turned out. I don't know why the drive is still checking. I guess it's just checking file metadata and stuff. But anyway, guys, I want to thank you very much for watching, and I will see you later.